Still believe may need to keep a mortgage around like a pet? I'll show you why you might want to rethink that idea here on The Tireless Accountant. Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. I'm Dell. I'm a CPA here in the state of Texas. Now, before we get going on anything, I do have to do this up front because legal disclaimer. Anything I discuss on this video or future videos or past videos does not constitute tax, accounting, legal advice. This is just primarily for information purposes, for some of you guys, even entertainment purposes. But it's just topics and to give you information so that you can take it to your trusted advisor in your area who understands your particular situation, your particular needs, and the things that goals you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so with that being said, the topic that I talked about earlier: should you pay off your mortgage? Now, side note, I know right now in the news and on social media, everywhere you go, people are saying, we can't afford to buy a home. We can't afford to buy a home. This is crazy. These prices are outrageous. Yes, the prices are kind of outrageous, especially even compared just to 4 years ago. But the fact of the matter is, let's be honest here, almost every generation has said the same thing over time. And it's not even just generations. Maybe sometimes even every 5-10 years, people will go out and say, man, we can't afford to buy a home. Guys, don't let fear hit you. When the time comes and you have everything in order, you have your money saved up, you do things the right way, you too will be able to get into a home. And you may have to build until you get towards your dream house. Start a home, then the next level home, until you finally get to your dream house. But guys, don't worry about that part. It will happen. It looks crazy now because it kind of is. There's so much negativity, but again, that's just my little side note. Calm down. You may not be able to get the house you want now, but later on you will, okay? That was the side. The topic is, should you pay off your mortgage? There's tons of debate. The main thing that people love to say as far as not paying off your mortgage, well, two main things. Number one, oh my gosh, you're no longer going to have a tax write-off. You won't be able to write off your mortgage. First of all, for those of you who don't know, who may not be in a home right now, you don't write off your mortgage. You write off the interest in your mortgage. Now, early on in the mortgage, the interest is primarily all there is in the mortgage, to be honest with you. It's only towards the end where you really pay, middle and end where you start getting towards the principal. But the fact is, you can do other things to get a tax write-off. Let's think about it this way. If you have a mortgage, and it's just for good, even numbers, and over the course of a year, you pay $15,000 to the bank. Including that $15,000 is $10,000 in interest costs that you can put on your taxes to write off. But then when you write it off, let's just for even top of the head calculations, let's say you have a 20% tax bracket, okay? So you're gonna spend $15 to write off $10,000 to maybe get $2,000 back. Does that sound like a good deal? Now, if you have to have a mortgage and you're doing that, that's great. But if you have an option of paying off versus not paying off, you want to spend $15,000 to get $2,000 back. You can get that same effect of the $10,000 by giving $10,000 to charity. That's a write-off. If you're itemizing your taxes, that is a write-off. So you get that same effect, but you're not paying $15,000 to the bank, hoping the government sends you $2,000 back as part of your tax refund, or lowers your tax bill by $2,000. You can give to charity, so you're doing something good, and you're helping other people out. So that argument kind of falls flat. That if you pay off your mortgage, you no longer have a tax break. If you pay your mortgage off early, you have so many things that can happen for you going forward. It is crazy. Let's give you an example. You have three people, okay? I'm sorry, I tend to talk with my hands a lot, okay? You have three people. They each go into a home worth $200,000. One person decides to pay their home off, says, I'm going to try to work and pay this off in 10 years. So let's say 6% interest. The payments may come to somewhere around maybe $1,200 for the mortgage. Okay, now let's say they have the means to throw an extra $1,000 towards it. Well, guess what? By them throwing an extra $1,000, or at least on average per month, extra thousands, maybe they have bonuses or something from work, and they just put the whole bonus on there. But they put on average extra $1,000 per month. Well, that $200,000 loan will be paid off in roughly 10 years, a little bit over 10 years. Their total payments will be around $270,000. So basically, you've paid a $200,000 home, you paid $270 for. So basically, you paid $70,000 of interest. Okay, man, you're like, hey, $70,000, that sounds like a lot of money. Well, homeowner number two, they pay it off early, but they pay, say, around $250 a month extra. That seems to be pretty doable for a lot of people, unless you don't buy well and you end up being house poor. That's another topic for another video. Stay tuned for that. If you do that, just extra $250, that can be roughly 20 years to pay that off. You end up paying somewhere around $340,000 to $350,000, somewhere in that ballpark. So you paid roughly $140,000, $150,000 of interest to the bank to purchase a home, even though you paid off quicker. See what I'm saying? The longer you go, the more interest you pay. And the third person who does what a lot of folks think to do, especially if they actually do end up staying in a home for a full 30 years on a 30-year mortgage, that person just pays their regular their regular loan payment, and they end up paying over $400,000, probably over $425,000, to be honest with you. That's basically twice the price of the house. You see the difference? You go from paying 60 something, a little bit of you have more pain up front because you're paying an extra $1,000 a month on the 10-year one. But if you have it, you have it. If you buy correctly, you should have it. The $1,000. But the other person says, I'm just gonna let it spread out, and they're paying over $200,000 more for the house than they bought it for. So that means you made the bank about $140,000 richer. Do you want the bank to be $140,000 richer, or do you want to keep that money in your own pocket? See where we're going with this? Now, there's also some dangers that come with keeping a mortgage around longer than you have to. Primarily, we've seen it happen in the past 4 years. YouTube doesn't like you discussing the certain things, but you know what happened to the world 4 years ago. People were losing their jobs left and right. They couldn't pay for their homes, and all types of things are going on. But it doesn't take a catastrophe like that to take place for people to lose their jobs and not be able to find employment. So, like, the risk that comes, of course, with not paying off your home and keeping the mortgage around is that what happens if you lose your job and you can't find one quickly? Now you have this contractual obligation to pay this mortgage, and the next thing you know, if you don't find a job in time, or you find a job that doesn't pay as well, next thing you know, you don't have your home anymore. That's the risk that comes with having a mortgage. You pay the house off, it's yours. So if you pay that house off, then you have more money to do other things. For example, if you're doing that 10-year payment plan, then that extra $1,000 that stays in your pocket. Boom, that's $1,000 a month right there in your pocket to do other things, right? Also, that mortgage was roughly around $1,200 a month. Well, if you take that $1,200 a month, put that into, let's say you hadn't been doing your retirement, and so because you were trying to pay off the home, so maybe you hadn't been doing retirement for those 10 years, or you had been doing it minimally. You take that $1,200 now, put it into your retirement account. If you put in some good growth stock mutual funds, and just find the right investment combination in mutual funds, which are a little bit safer than doing individual stocks, on average, A lot of people have reported, that they may get roughly 10% per year. You have those years where they go up 30, those years where they're down 20, those years where they're around 10 or 12. But if you take from that year 10 where you pay it off to the year 30 where you would have been paying it off, $1,200 a month, around 10% per year, you'll have over $900,000 going towards your retirement. And depending on how long it is until you retire, guess what? That could still be sitting there for another 10, 15, 20 years until you decide to retire. But that's just from doing that with those payments. That has nothing to do with, any other contributions that you would normally have done. The fact that you may have raises. So even if percentage-wise you were doing the same over all the years, the amount that goes in may be better because you're that type of person who if you have that goal to pay off a home, that means you probably have other goals in other areas where you work hard to do the things you need to do. I mean, it's a lot of uncertainty holding on to a mortgage. I mean, that's a contractual obligation to pay this certain amount to a bank every year. Every month for 30 years. That is a lot. There's a lot of uncertainty. There are a lot of industries where, I'll take it for example here in the state of Texas. A lot of people are involved in the oil and gas industry and the energy industry. That goes up and down. There are boom times where things are just clocking, it's moving like clockwork, and everything's flowing. The oil is flowing, the energy is flowing, the money's flowing, everything is flowing great. And then the industry collapses. Some people are more risk averse than others. So it all depends on you. Do you want to deal with that? Again, uncertainty, risk, it's up to you. You do what you want to do. As my darling wife says, you do you, boo. That's it. So you do you, boo. I don't want to have that kind of risk, so I'm not doing that. Again, when you're dealing with this, you have to think of long term. Yes, people say you only live once, you can't take it with you, but if you have a home, you have a family, and home ownership is one of the many columns, one of the many pillars that helps to develop generational wealth. And if you want to begin having generational wealth in your family, especially if you come from a family where there was not a history of generational wealth, especially if there's one where it was a history of generational poverty, then home ownership is that key to begin moving things forward. And so that you do better, you show your children your work ethic, educate them on the things that you've done to be out of debt, to invest wisely, to do the things that you need to do to make your whole family's financial situation stronger. You put that financial wisdom into your kids, then when they grow old, they won't depart from it. Okay, they'll do that and they'll pass it on to their kids and their kids, and that's why it's called generational wealth. Give them that wisdom, pass that wisdom on, and then you're going on to the great beyond, but your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren are benefiting from the steps that you took today, and that's just paying off a house. This is Dell, the Tireless Accountant, and I look forward to seeing you soon on another video. Peace.